Oh, Gary, you know what that countdown means, right?
I don't know what you're laughing at.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what you're laughing at, and I'm going to pretend I don't know because Jeremy's just going to edit that out for me.
Or it's highly likely I'll forget.
Oh, man.
There was a lot of celebrating going on last night.
Was there a game? Was there a game last night?
Did you guys watch the whole thing or what? Or was it kind of like...
I did.
I did not. Not on purpose. So I had graduation last night. And then I stayed to tear down graduation last night. And I came home partway into the second to watch Sam Reinhart score again. And I was exhausted. And I was like, oh, well, look at that. It's 3-0. So... And I watched 5 more minutes of it, and the Oilers looked the way they did. Very Leaf Game 7-esque. That's what it looked like. That's what it reminded me of. Just like, you know what I mean? A few players with heart left, and the rest of them with a lot of quit, I guess. I don't know. And I shut her down at intermission because I was falling asleep. And then I woke up to discover a player that Anyway, the Conn Smythe surprised me. That was quite the surprise this morning when I woke up. Because I thought when I went to bed, I knew the whole rest of the night. The way this game was going, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to lose 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, 6-1, 6-0. Like it was, and Brad Marchand's going to get the Conn Smythe, but he did not. That was a surprise when I woke up. Not going to lie.
I think everybody's ballots are going to be probably Bennett, Marchand, and Bobrovsky, I would suspect.
That's
those 3.
Yeah, and maybe a couple for Reinhart.
Yeah.
I didn't have him pegged as possibly winning it, but I imagine there'd be a few people that would.
Oh, yeah.
Like he played well. He played well all playoffs. But I don't know. For people just kind of, I mean, if you're watching or listening to us, I'm assuming you know who won the Stanley Cup, but Reinhart had quite the party last night.
Spoiler alert.
Holy man.
Just going to jump right into that.
Did you guys see the pictures of Sam Reinhart's front lawn? Did you see that going around this morning?
Oh, no. I just saw them at the Elbow Room or whatever.
Oh, man, no. His whole front yard is covered in ball caps. Just peppered everywhere. That's wild. I've never seen that one before. So everyone just knows where he lives and threw their hat in his yard. That's pretty.
He ended up with 4, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So something I guess I thought was interesting. I was listening to 32 Thoughts, and Elliot started talking about how he you sort of already alluded to it, but how Florida you play Florida and it looks like you just can't get to your game.
Yeah.
And it looks like your team is playing bad. And he was kind of saying that they did it to everybody they played by the time they were, going to close out the series. And I sort of had the thought, before that, but he came to the same conclusion that, after seeing the way the Oilers played, I don't think it's so much like, I think you look at that and it's like, oh, the Oilers really just didn't show up. And it's like, well, there's been like 4 teams that look like they haven't shown up to play this one team, and they've looked good against everybody else. So like, is it more that these guys aren't showing up to play, or is it that the way Florida plays, it makes it look like you didn't show up to play?
And
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I 100% know what you're saying. And then there's also, I'd like to highlight especially Toronto and Edmonton for very similar things, but happening for different reasons. And this is hockey, right? That's part of why I love it, and part of why like you can end up getting mad at it, and you can play the shoulda, coulda, wouldas all you want. Toronto loses game 3 in overtime. They hit the post twice. right? In overtime, and lost that game in overtime, would have went up 3-0. In the Edmonton, and who knows what game 4 would have brought and what, you know what I mean? Because like Toronto won game 6 and looked great. Like scared us, but looked great, and then looked bad again game 7, right? They looked bad game 5 and game 7, and they arguably could have won game 3 and 4. You know what I mean? Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. And Edmonton looked great game 1.
Mm-hmm.
It went to overtime, but they looked good. They looked like the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd commented to you guys, it was the first time I had seen Florida ever all this playoff look like they were on their heels at all.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Edmonton was playing their game. And then in game 2, Marchand is Marchand. Holy dying. And then
still competitive though, pretty even.
But still pretty even. And then just like tough breaks, like Toronto hitting the post 2 times. Too many men. So, do you know what I mean? And it shoulda, coulda, woulda, because that's hockey. But missed call in overtime. And who's to say if that call's not missed, you even scored on the power play if it was given to you? You don't even know that you do. Do you know what I mean? But it's a blatant missed call and a bad one in overtime. And Edmonton loses that game. But that said, you also could have had that call, blown the power play, and still lost that game. It's in overtime, and you're in the playoffs. It's almost like, reminds me of when we used to watch UFC all the time, right? They used to say, like, well, if you want to win that bad, you can't leave it to the judges.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
If it's in overtime, you got yourself to overtime. That means it was a pretty 50-50 game, no matter how you want to shake it out, or you wouldn't be in overtime.
You're leaving it to a great play. Or
a mistake,
something really, really dumb,
a bad mistake. Yeah.
And the expectation should be there is no penalty except for puck over glass.
Yeah. When I used to coach, I used to tell the guys, and I coached basketball, the one thing I never want to hear is an excuse, because we play in gyms all over the province, right? So I never want to hear how bad the facilities are. It's not an excuse. The other team's playing there too. And I never want to hear an excuse about reffing. Because even if the reffing's bad, if you were up by 20, you'd still win.
Yeah.
So if you can lose on 1 or 2 bad calls, that means the game was too close. It wasn't yours to win anyway. I never want to hear that excuse. And so when you go to overtime, and if you're relying on a call in overtime, you're in a bad way already. So right, you just play your game, and they're either going to screw something up and you get a chance, or you have to fight for your good chances. But man, it was the whole playoffs. You could go, like it was a bad movie, you could go all the way back to, you know what I mean? Matthews' wrist shot there, if it's about 1.5 inches to the right, they're up 3-0 in the series. Edmonton, same thing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those, they turn it over to Marchand and is gone. Yeah, but that's also what I love about hockey, right? Like
it just makes it all the more insane that we've seen 3 teams go back to back in the last 10 years.
Yes.
Like you go back to Pittsburgh, right? And then the Lightning, now the Panthers. And you look at how many of those things need to work out your way.
All the bounces I just told you could go the other way. So the odds of you getting back-to-back championships is pretty wild. Yeah. So next year, Colorado, and then.
Although I did chuckle when Bettman comes out and he's talking about how hard it is to win back to back, and it's like, didn't that just happen?
I know,
a couple of years ago.
He's like, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting a lifetime thing going on here.
4 out of the 6 championships in the last 6 years have been back to back.
And then you go like,
and in Florida.
I know it's not back to back, but if you look at like 2010 to 2015, it was either the Kings or the Blackhawks. It turns out good teams, are good.
I still don't know about this argument. Every time I bring it up, and I don't want to deep dive, Gary always makes valid points. And Elliot Friedman brought it up, Jay, last night on 32 Thoughts or whatever. not very long, but like Gary Bettman will say, the taxation thing doesn't really matter. It doesn't build a good hockey club. But then 5 out of the last 6 Stanley Cup champs are tax-free states. So, like, the data isn't in your favor in this salary cap era there, Mr. Bettman. I got to tell you. The data would start to say otherwise, no matter what we say about it. So,
well, and if you include trips to the Stanley Cup final, it's like 4 cups and 6 Stanley Cup finals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Went to, yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
Like, anyways. But yeah, it's, yeah, I thought a lot about, like, it was interesting to see the difference in McDavid. Last year was it was very much heartbreak. And this year he was just mad. He was real mad.
My wife said he just has this look on his face like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, and he played. He I don't know. I didn't see lack of effort on his part. He just couldn't seem to get going. Like they were piling up 3 wide when he tried to skate it in, and he'd get kind of stopped. And he does this power skate in, almost McKinnon-esque, but he does this big power turn to the left, right? He circles back around, and then he looks for his open
he
guy.
Backs the D off to get space and time, looks around.
And they weren't giving him room. They weren't giving him an inch. Right? And it's also predictable. If I see it coming and walking, you don't think they've studied? Like, that is your go-to.
Well, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to read, but this was one of the quotes from Matthew Tkachuk. Matt, he said, heart meets talent. Our team was a team. When things were getting hard for them, they looked to one guy. But our team, we do it collectively. And that's why we're lifting the Stanley Cup right now, because we're a team and not a bunch of individuals. Which is funny because in his own, he said one guy, but then a bunch of individuals. Anyway. Yeah.
But he spoke so nicely of Toronto after beating them.
Yeah. I have no doubt there's a little bit of, like, Four Nations, like, vengeance there for him. You know what I mean? McDavid gets that goal. Canada wins. They were so disappointed. It's him versus McDavid now for a Stanley Cup. I'm sure it's a little extra, sweet for him to do those kinds of jabs and stuff. But I don't even know if I fully agree. I've always looked at it like it's when you have a guy like McDavid. If you put McDavid on the Florida Panthers, the skill gap is not that much different from him to the rest of, like Leon Draisaitl. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're up here, every team you get put on, you're going to be way better. Like he's like the best player since Lemieux and Gretzky, right? So, like, I just feel like these guys get a little bit pigeonholed because
I think so too.
Because, like, what's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to play on another team of like a whole team of Connor McDavids where they can all be equal? So
he was also missing Zach Hyman the whole series. Florida got, like, very lucky with injuries this year. They looked like they were perfectly healthy the whole time.
And that was mind-boggling. I saw there's an Avs beat writer. He said exactly that. He said 2 years. And he said, not once have the Panthers ever looked tired. And then he said, made a joke of, like, it must be the taxes. But, yeah, I mean, and I know Tkachuk said too, eventually they were asking him right after, and he wasn't saying it, but apparently after, he said that he was playing with a
sports hernia.
A hernia, but also some kind of abductor was torn off the bone.
Yeah, he's going to need surgery. Yeah.
So, they play through it too, and last year he had to sit out, right? Because he couldn't even play last year in the final.
Yeah.
But anyways, they, like you said, it's so much luck has to happen for you too. Like, you have to be able to play through that stuff. You have to be able to. So anyways, but back to his quote. I don't think it's fair to say that it's all one guy. That was the deepest Oilers team that I can remember seeing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They had production from everybody. Now, they get to that game last night, not the game for Evan Bouchard to have one of his worst games of the playoffs. Like, he had some bad turnovers, and he'd been playing so well. It wasn't good. They just had you look at the way Florida plays, and the way I look at Florida is like, I don't even seem to notice or worry about which line is on the ice. It just, every line goes out, plays exactly the same way. You know what I mean? It's why you got so much production up and down the lineup. You got Marchand, who plays on the third line, produce what he does. You know, they are just so bought into the way they played that it just didn't even seem to matter.
No,
that's what I found watching that. Like, everybody bought in.
Fit in great. Like, he fit in really well.
Like, he's going to resign, right? I assume.
I don't even know why he would look anywhere else.
Why would he? Why would you look anywhere else?
He's not going to.
You're in Florida.
I am calling it right now. He's not going to resign.
Like, can you think of a more seamless deadline move than that?
I don't know if they can sign him, Bennett, and Ekblad.
That's the thing. I don't think they can afford him.
Well,
they got him on a deadline deal with some salary retained and all this, and it wasn't much to begin with. I don't think they can afford to sign all three. Someone's going.
Yeah, their only hope with Bennett is he takes less because they can offer him 8 years.
Well, the rumor is that Bennett is signing an extension. Like, I read that a couple times now. Usually, if I see it once, I say nothing. If I see it a couple times, I'll say it on here.
Yeah.
It was one of those deals, like one of the worst kept secrets on the internet, that he's either re-signing in Florida or he's going to Toronto. And you know how there's not supposed to be any contract tampering or any talks, but then why are those rumors everywhere? Like the worst kept secret, you know what I mean? It's either he resigns or, and then I've seen it 3 times now, including from Chris.
Johnston.
Thank you,
Johnson. Whatever.
That he heard that Bennett's people were very close to an extension. So I'm assuming he's going to stay, and I'm wondering what that number is going to be too, and what that number is really determined. So if he signs lower but long term, do they want to keep Marchand for another couple of years? If they can afford to, yes.
I would suspect Marchand would take a bit of a. Like, I think he's going to be friendly to them to keep that going.
The thing with Marchand, though, is he was
underpaid
in Boston for years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this is his last chance to actually cash out.
Yeah. But he comes from that group of Sidney Crosby people where they're like, we must take less to win.
Do you want to win or do you want to get rich? Those are your choices.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
Or to what extent do you want to be rich? Because
So I don't think that it's that unlikely that he actually leaves and goes to Toronto. I've read it a couple times. He's been very openly, like, he's one of those, he grew up a Toronto fan, and like, I think he would have done the Sid thing. Like, Sid will retire a Penguin. He's not going to play anywhere else. It's just not going to happen. I know, man. I'll tell you. Nathan's going to have to go to Pittsburgh if you want to see that duo. I just don't think he's going to. But Gary, you know how, like, if towards the end of his career, which he's getting there, if Pittsburgh had pulled the stunt with him that Boston pulled with Marchand, then all of a sudden, to me, no one blames Crosby. He was loyal the whole time. For now, him after July 1st go, well, I'm going to Montreal. I will sign for next to nothing to go to my childhood team. I will retire in Montreal. Screw you. I'm going to Montreal. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, that's what it feels like what Boston did to him.
Mm-hmm.
And while I never dreamt he would ever go to Toronto, even though it's his childhood team, it's like he's not going to leave Boston to go to Toronto. There's no way he's going to go to Toronto. And the second his own team ships him off to Florida, and I think there was another trade in the works, and he was already offended almost over, like, are you serious? Like, is this happening right now? And you're not going to give me the deal that I thought I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was.
So now he's gone to Florida. Now it's like open season. Like, he doesn't owe loyalty to anybody. He gets a hard reset. Mm-hmm. He can go wherever the heck he wants. He can stay in Florida. Yep. He can go back to Boston, which odds are very slim.
I just think there's zero. I mean, I've heard some people say that, but like it's zero to me. How do you go back to that?
The betting odds came out today. There's some random bets for next year already for the 2025-26 season. And I'd love to sit in the room with the guys who decide what these odds are and how these bets pay out. But the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup next year is the Edmonton Oilers. Second is Florida. Third is Colorado. Fourth is Dallas. I'm not quite sure how they're figuring Dallas in fourth when they haven't re-signed Robertson yet. And it'll be, again, if they don't change the playoff format, it'll be Colorado and Dallas again. Round one. Someone's got to go home already. And then the other random bet that was getting noticed today was, who's Brad Marchand going to sign with? And the odds-on favorite for a signing was Toronto. And Florida wasn't. I'm trying to remember who was second. Florida wasn't. No, Colorado was second.
For signing Marchand?
And then Pittsburgh was on there.
Nova Scotia boy.
Yeah.
Well, Pittsburgh was on there as well. And I wonder if they made that connection that, well, then he'll go play with McKinnon or he'll go play with Crosby.
Pittsburgh.
So it was Toronto, Colorado.
I guess the Crosby thing.
I don't know. I can't remember what Pittsburgh, like Florida was on there that he would just stay. But Florida wasn't even the top, you know what I mean? And then Boston wasn't like the top 6 as if he'll go back. And then the odds just got thinner and thinner the further you look down. You know what I mean? Like the odds were wild as you look down the list. But Toronto was the odds-on favorite, which really surprised me. It's not like they're not going to have a conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say Florida would be the favorite, though.
Yeah.
And if the fit is so nice in Florida where he's playing, like if he does sign in Toronto, he's going to be playing like first-line minutes again, where he seemed to be super effective on that third line.
In those matchups.
Plus role.
And Gary, but depends how much you sign for and what.
If he's coming to Toronto, he's signing a first line contract.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
Well,
or a medium one. You know what I mean? It might be like, I'm aware of my age. A lot of those guys that like Toronto was their hometown team. We talked about this before. They all want to be on the team to finally get it done. Do you know what I mean? Like, who doesn't want their name on that? Coaches
I still think if Marchand's taking a discount, though, he's just going to stay in Florida.
Yeah, which is probably a fair guess.
Yeah,
honestly, but
I just like there's always personal motivations that we'll never know. But if you just look at it like of a hockey player trying to get a good deal, I mean. It's a no-brainer that he stays. I mean, Bill Zito has to figure out that.
But there's 3 big contracts up in the air.
Yeah. It just,
The wild option would be for either him or Bennett to sign in Edmonton.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, Gary, it's not lost on me, and this is not a Toronto Maple Leafs podcast, but it is not lost on me that they're all joking about, like, even in Toronto, and a couple other teams are doing it too. You know what I mean? Like, Carolina's packing some room. They're either going to take a run at Marner or they're going to wait. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So some of them must be having the same game plan that there is a lot of free agents, not this summer, but next summer. And one of them is Connor McDavid, who looks some friggin' disappointed. 2 finals appearances and lost them both. You know what I mean?
Like if he doesn't sign a contract on July 1st at noon, I'm just assuming he's coming to Toronto. But like 12:01 if that extension's not signed.
I did have it in my head, and I only said it out loud to one person because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But you know what I mean? Like if he won the cup this week, well, would have been tomorrow night or tonight when this comes out, right? If he had won the cup, to me, that does a lot for him just staying in Edmonton. But to lose again, do you know what I mean? And the contract's up next year and you haven't gotten it done either. for whatever reason, arguably the best player in the world, and you've not gotten it done either. To me, that does a lot for rumors of you leaving. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what you guys think, but
and
like it's
coming to Toronto, a place that's known to get things done.
Well, even if it's not, but you know what I mean. Like it doesn't help them stay.
Yeah.
Like it feels very, yeah.
The flip side of that would be if he did win the cup, he could look at it as mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Now I can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I brought them a cup.
Losing is like the unfinished business.
Yeah. I just feel like I get the same sense from him that you get from Crosby, where it's like there's this unwritten rule where if you're the ambassador of the game, you just have to stay until your team figures it out around you. Like, I just don't get any sense he's ever going to leave. Like, I
wonder though if there's a point where you start looking at the rest of the team and you say, well, Leon signed for that giant contract. If I sign for even more than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And Draisaitl's a big part of it. And the fact that Draisaitl signed the deal that he did kind of told me that McDavid was staying. Because if he has a hint that McDavid's out, I just don't think he's sticking around either. Like, these guys are, McDavid's 28, Draisaitl is he's the same age as McKinnon. I think he's going to be 30. I think when the next season starts, or some point during the season.
But boys, things change all the time.
Yep, just has to say trade me.
Like, things honestly change all the time. I don't want to be that guy, and like, I think the McDavid story it's one of two things. And in my mind, it's 60% he re-signs at Edmonton and he stays there for the rest of his career. And there's a 40% chance of, yeah, guys, I'm leaving. And he's not going anywhere else. Guess where he's going? And to me, it's a 60-40 split. Like, he's not...
Florida.
Someone say no tax? But you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird...
I don't know. I just don't think it's that high. I don't think it's 60-40. I think it's more like 90-10.
I'm going 60-40.
Yeah.
I am going 60-40. And he's not re-signed yet.
No.
I mean...
I'm curious what his number will be when he does
Me too. And they're going to talk this summer. So the longer that goes without trying to extend him through next year, the more suspicious I get. You know what I mean? Kind of like...
Yeah, I don't know who his agent is either, because like, I remember when they interviewed McKinnon at training camp, and McKinnon's deal got signed right before training camp. At the extension, I mean. It wasn't even his contract year. But they interviewed him, and he's a pretty honest guy. And he said, yeah, I was pretty surprised that it lasted as long as it did. I just thought, like, on July 1st, to be like, yep, sure, that works, signed, done, great. I don't have to think about it. But it dragged on all summer. And his point was kind of like, I think it was just kind of like, it was more my agent, not really, like, I would have just whatever. But like, my agent, kind of has to make sure he doesn't like look to everybody else that he didn't get Nathan McKinnon the best possible deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's their job. Their reputation is that. I mean, those contracts are huge for agents' careers.
So know what I mean? How do you like this one?
I was just looking at the same thing, Tyson.
Jeff Jackson was Connor McDavid's agent, and he is no longer his agent because he's now hired as the head of hockey operations for the Oilers that McDavid plays on.
Which was a big story.
Which also reminded me the coach was hired, who was McDavid's old junior coach. Yeah, why are we even having this conversation? They're going to change the name to the Edmonton McDavids.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, I'm not 60-40, I'm 70-30. That's pretty wild.
99-1.
Unreal.
You give me a hug real quick?
I'll give us all a hug. Give us all a hug.
Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Here, look over here.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Can we give you a go Avs go?
I didn't feel like he meant it, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What do you get on? Christmas jammies? Is that Santa Claus? Right.
It's hockey season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Eat your earwax for everybody to watch. You know?
This will be the best reel ever.
That's good. That's good. It's my boy here.
Who doesn't do that?
Yeah. All right, buddy. You get to bed, okay?
Yucky earwax.
That is yucky. Yeah. No doubt about it.
I love it.
Thanks for your thoughts.
Oh,
Love you.
I love it. Oh, man.
Bye-bye. Oh, dear.
So in related agent news, and I see what time it is here, but in related agent news, again, unless I see it a couple times, because I don't like all those fan sites and stuff because they take anything and run with it. But that Mariners people haven't even responded to the Toronto Maple Leafs with anything.
I think they basically said you can get in line on July 1st with everybody else.
Yeah, basically they're ghosting.
We're going back to the old scheduling your meeting.
But Gary, is this like, if he's all about the money with this contract, I don't want him.
But isn't a lot of it his dad? Isn't his dad insane or something?
I've heard that one before.
I found an old like CBC video on YouTube when Marner was like 12 years old.
He might be younger.
Yeah.
I know what video you're talking about.
Him
Holy
and,
pressure.
Matheson or something. Yeah. It's pretty intense.
And yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of involved in the like his business too. So I don't know.
I'm not sure in this case though if I go out to say it's all about the money or if it's more about I'm leaving. I'm done with Toronto.
I'm leaving.
It's, not a money thing.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I kind of took it as that. I don't think he's playing hardball with them. I think he's just kind of like I'm going.
Yeah.
Going somewhere else now. So yeah.
But I mean, power to whatever team takes him. If you want a flashy show, superstar show put on all regular season long, sign him. Sign him for 12 plus, maybe even 14. But
I mean,
when the playoffs hit, man, there is not an aggressive bone in that man's body.
And there might not need to be if you put him on a line with someone like Sam Bennett.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like the potential is there to do the whole Kadri thing, to do the Hyman thing, to do the, you know what I mean? Like
he bails out of hits. He doesn't give a hit. And he can get 100 points in a season. And then when the playoffs hit, he gets like 8. So
it just depends.
Because you got to be able to take a hit and not.
His playoff numbers are quite high. They just all come on game 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
If you look at his totals, they're pretty high compared to everybody else. It's when you break it down and you see, they all came on game 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. 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 When some of the points came on a 6-1 win, yeah. You're like, oh, great.
I don't know. I have a gut feeling it's going to be Vegas, but
that's where my gut is too.
Is it really? Yeah.
It's kind of convenient. All this Pietrangelo news came out.
I know, right? I know. Exactly.
Well,
yep.
And then Yossi news today in Nashville, which is going to free up a lot. Yeah.
What's that? I didn't see that.
He has been diagnosed with a rare heart condition and will have to undergo treatment. And so I don't think they didn't say the word retirement, but
is that why they made a deal today? Did you see that?
Yeah,
they traded
with New Jersey.
Yeah.
It
wasn't a real blockbuster or anything, but I wonder
they're making
if
moves, and then they announced that. And then Gary, I don't know what your thoughts are. I know, like, I keep hearing Vegas. I heard Anaheim and San Jose a couple times. If I were Chicago, I would be like moving prospects. I'd be moving stuff around. I'd be offering Toronto a couple prospects for the rights to talk to them early. I'd be, if I were Chicago, I'd be all in.
You know what situation Marner's never been in? Playing with a guy who scores a lot of goals. I'd like to see him in that role.
Oh, man. The way Marner plays, to have Bedard down the center would be actually something to watch. I'd be really curious to see what that would look like.
Yep.
And you need somebody for him. Like, I don't think we've even dipped our toe in the pool of like Bedard's full potential yet, because he hasn't really had someone he's meshed well with. And I think that's worth the gamble if I was Chicago.
Well, and it's tough with goal scorers too, because like, unless you're Alexander Ovechkin, it's really tough to, I think, to sustain, like multi-big goal campaigns. So, yeah, I mean, he's got it in him to be like one of the next best ones, but, he needs some help. It's just interesting to be in that market, because we think of Chicago as a bad team now, but they're still a huge market. You know what I mean? Like one of the biggest. But like they're rebuilding. They should be in like a buy. They should be starting to buy. But to your point, Pat Verbeek in Anaheim is like on a mission. He is like he's going to get everybody. So I don't know. It's funny. Like I feel like no teams are sellers, except for maybe now the Penguins. Like, there's not a lot of teams selling.
That's a weird situation. Yeah.
Right? Like all these teams that have been bad, a lot of them have pretty good prospects now. So who's actually selling? You know what I mean?
Until they wake up and realize the Gavin McKenna draft is coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Suddenly 4 or 5 new sellers will pop up.
It will pop up. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Pittsburgh, I think, is definitely on that list.
Yeah, I
could see it. I just don't know what the end goal there.
Well, I mean, like
if you're signing with Pittsburgh
they've waited too long.
Yes, at Marner's age, with Crosby's age, to go to Pittsburgh now, you're not going to win a cup. You're going because of the contract they offered you, and you're getting out of Toronto.
Well, that's what I don't understand. Those get like Crosby.
Anaheim looks like they're gearing up to make a run. They want to. Yeah. They want to make it and go deeper. They want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
unproven,
but that's the moves they're making. That's what they want to do. You can tell the stuff with the Kreider.
But the Kreider move, exactly. That's the latest one, and I mean, we'll see if Zegras is gonna find.
If the right leadership's there, they might get him out of his shell.
You know what's funny is like they had good leadership when Getzlaf was there. And I think Getzlaf retired because he was kind of like, I don't understand kids anymore. He just like, I just remember
weapon rig scenario. I'm getting too old for this. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd see him and Zegras and Jamie Drysdale going on foolish and him just sitting there like, this is like, I have kids at home. I don't need to deal with this. That's just what it looked like to me. He just seemed very like, okay, I'm good. But yeah, anyways, they're in full buy mode. But anyway, just because we mentioned the Pittsburgh thing, I don't know what the goal is there. I don't know what Dubas is gonna do. They convinced Malkin to stay. So you got the old core still there. You got Letang. You got Crosby signed.
But man,
what are you going to do?
They've got their core 3, right?
Yeah.
Not a core 4. And they've been there, done it, and they're getting older.
And Karlsson now.
And Karlsson. They're older. There's no middle. There's no... You don't have all your prime players between the ages of 26 and 32. You don't have that. You have players that have been there, done that, won it, and they're contemplating, so when do you think I should retire? Next season? Season after?
Yeah.
See how I feel this year. Like, that's the age they're at.
They don't have a goalie. They never have a goalie. Like, it's just, I don't know.
They haven't since Murray, when Murray was playing well. They haven't really had, well, Fleury.
Yeah.
But I say since Murray, yeah.
I think if they're going to do something, now's the time to just start moving everybody out.
Yeah.
Go for Gavin McKenna. Lemieux to Crosby to McKenna.
Yeah. Honestly, though, but it's hard to move everybody out and just bail on her when you have Crosby who signed for that for you. And you want to do right by him. And he's obviously been loyal enough to stay. And you've convinced Malcolm to stay. It's just a weird situation.
You tell
it
him
is
that
weird.
Bettman told us that we'll have McKenna next year. And you can stay here for this year and become his mentor.
Man, when they tank on purpose, even though it's not on purpose, like the players are trying to win, but maybe management's making moves to like, be nice if we lost more than we won, though. You know what I mean? They're making those moves. My goodness, they make it hard to be a fan.
Well, then you look at what goes on with the lottery, and the Islanders jump up. What was it, 8 places or some kind of thing?
Well, and it's still a lottery. So you could tank and take dead last, and you have the best chances and lose the lottery.
Yeah.
So what do you even
Buffalo
doing?
used to just openly do it. And that's why the lottery's there in the first place.
Hasn't that been the last 20 seasons? Isn't that what they... Poor Buffalo. I almost missed the competitive Buffalo days, honestly.
Oh, that's a very distant memory.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyways, well. Colorado's move. It's their turn. We can't have the Florida teams three-peat, and there's one team to do it.
Well, man, they have my blessing if they get all the way there and they're against Florida. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty optimistic now. Full season in Nelson and Landeskog, instead of a crazy like he's back in the round 1 and all that.
I'm
craziness.
Not just saying this. I'm actually happy for you that you have an optimistic view ahead. Because me and Gary, as Leafs fans, have no idea what's coming. No idea what's coming. Stahler's extension didn't happen, and the rumor is he's asking for a lot. And we don't know, like, Lorentz is still there, but they don't know what's going on. And there's rumors of shipping Camp out and Yarncroke out, and Nyes hasn't re-signed, and Marner's, let's be real, he's leaving, and there's Tavares rumors we have no idea what we're looking at. I know we have Matthews, Nylander, and Tanev next year. So there's that. Like,
I mean, and I hear you. I guess the only thing I would say to that is, I went through like my team trading the top 5 playoff scorer in the last 6 years in mid-season. So that was quite tumultuous. Didn't know if Landeskog was coming back at that time yet. And so that was fairly tumultuous, but I guess if you stick through it, you eventually figure it out. I do think that, like, Tree Living's gonna, it feels to me he's gonna put a stamp on it, you know what I mean? This off season. I think they'll be pretty busy.
I think so too. When he says change the DNA of the team, I know what he means. At some point, the group we have here, that's great that they're a bunch of awesome people, but that it's not getting done. Something needs to shift, and the attitude in the room needs to shift or something. Like, there's too many bodies here that have been on the same team that have lost before. Mm-hmm. So they're in this, like, and like a couple simple shifts, like getting Lorentz, as simple as that was, because he's done it. And as a third liner, right? Or Ekman Larson, or even bringing in Stallers, who played behind Bobrovsky. Didn't, well, I mean, he ended up hurt, but you know what I mean? Like, that didn't do it. Like, so I don't know, how much of the room do you need to change while still keeping Like, what's your percentage of how much a percentage of the room has to change to kind of get rid of that?
Well, and I think a lot of that will be driven by the meetings that he's had or will have or whatever with Craig Berube, because that's, I think, his guy. I think Craig Berube is the type of coach that he wants. Because Brad Treliving was the same guy that had what's his name, who was booted from the league there, Bill
Peters.
Bill Peters.
So he likes the rough and tumble ones. Not saying I'm not saying anything that compares those two guys, but Craig Berube coaches the way he played. You know what I mean? And he was an enforcer, and he couldn't really drag that motivation, that that desire to win. And it's like, if he can't do that as a coach based on his track record, then
something's wrong in the room.
Something's going on. And I'm sure that Craig Berube learned a lot, and he probably has a lot of opinions. And I'm assuming that those two will talk quite closely about.
Yeah, I'm very curious, because I go back to Matthews saying the passengers line. And like, we know Matthews was hurt. And again, I'm tired of saying every year we can't say, well, it turns out Matthews was playing hurt. Okay, well, now we know you're injury prone. Then if you're hurt every year, that can't be an excuse either. But when we know he was hurt, and he's not lying, because there was 2 weeks missing and going to Germany to see a specialist for an undisclosed thing. The rumor is it's his back, you know what I mean? And all this stuff. And there's been time that he didn't look like himself. What did he mean by, some of the passengers, like some of the players were just along for the ride? Like, he said that. Like the day after, who are the passengers? Like, I want to know, who are the passengers? Who do you think didn't? Because I can rhyme off 4 or 5 right now that look like they played their guts out. They left everything on the ice, and the rest of them, like, am I guessing right that you're talking about them? They're the passengers? Like, I don't know. I just wonder what's going on behind the room. We'll never know, but you're right. Yeah. I think Berube is his guy, and
yeah. It's I think it's going to be a pretty interesting offseason. Cap's going way up. Well, up, and
it's going up, but there's no one to sign, so it's going to be a weird.
Which means to me it's going to be like hockey deals, which are way more fun.
They're fun to analyze, like,
money in, money out deals. Those are fun.
Yeah.
So, anyways, well, I don't know. Congrats to Florida, I guess. I think you're supposed to say things like that when you're in the show business life like we are. Supposed to say things like that to sound professional.
Congratulations, Florida, on your back-to-back championships. I will say I'm going to out my wife, who she hates Brad Marchand. She hates him. And then when the Four
Nations,
wait to
see him as a Leaf.
When Four Nations came around, she felt like she's like, "What's wrong with me? I'm starting to like Brad Marchand. Like I don't know, like the clips out of the locker room and everything." And then last night he gets that cup and he goes over and he picks his kids up and his little girl gives him a kiss and everything. And she's like, "Frig sakes, why am I happy for Brad Marchand?"
Did you see him getting the decked out coat covered in all the glitter and stuff afterwards?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see that, no.
Lord Stanley on the back of it.
That's awesome.
Like a designer coat.
I saw people comparing him to like Ray Bourque, and I was like, whoa. Ray never had a cup, okay?
Pump the
22 seasons, no cup. Not the same.
Yeah, not the same.
The picture of Luongo and Marchand together with the cup.
So funny. So weird.
That's weird.
Yes. That's how old Marchand is. Is that like when that series went on? I mean, in that. Anyways,
man. The only thing that would make that better is Bieksa handing it to them. Oh, that's weird. All right. Congratulations, Florida. Frig's sakes.
Yeah, so we'll probably see you folks after we'll see what goes on July 1st.
Yep, sometime this summer anyway.
Yeah. It'd be fun to recap if there's any major changes or stuff like that goes on. But we're winding down.
So Jeremy and I gave Vegas as the Marner prediction. Do you have one, Tyson? Anaheim was your closest?
Honestly, my heart...
Chicago?
My heart wants him to go to Chicago if he's leaving Toronto. And I'm 95% sure he's leaving Toronto.
Ooh, the Islanders. They get it back.
Oh, no. I'm thinking... I'm honestly thinking Carolina. After all that mess with Rantanen, I'm thinking Carolina.
Well, I think Carolina was trying for it, weren't they?
Yeah.
So, well, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
So you're going to go...
My gut is Carolina. My heart is Chicago or Anaheim. But I'd rather Chicago. I just think that'd be a really good fit with him and Bedard, but maybe they have no interest. Maybe they got plans. I don't know. Maybe they're still tanking her until McKenna. I don't know. Maybe that's their plan. Have, some young guys that are going to grow up there. Like, I don't know.
Carolina has $28 million in cap space. So
$14 million a year, bud. Call it right now. 6 years, $14 million. Maybe even 7 years.
Yeah.
No, it seems like a nice place to play. Become a bit of a hockey town, but you can still go get your groceries. You know what I mean? Like, it's very...
Yeah, you get to lose in the Eastern Conference Final every year.
Every year.
At least that's
tradition.
That's further for him.
He's used to losing. I mean, go with what you know.
You know what he should really do? If he wants to get all the Toronto media upset with him, he has all his meetings with the other teams on July 1st. He narrows it down to 3 or 4 and has to go visit all of these places to see, what's it like to live here and stuff.
Like The Bachelor.
And then all the media is gone on vacation, on their summer vacations. And then like the end of July, he signs somewhere and makes them all come back from their cottages.
Oh, man. I thought where you were going with that, if it was Lou Lamoriello still in New York, you wouldn't find out until like
September.
The 3rd week of August.
You wouldn't know till he walked into camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give the media the satisfaction of signing on July 1st. Let them go and start their summer vacations and then sign and haul them all back into work.
They're all doing Teams calls. All sunburned. Like talking about hockey.
Haven't shaved in 6 weeks.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be a weird one, but...
Yep.
Be interesting. For sure.
Yeah, anyways, so yeah, we'll... I would say we'll do a recap at some point of what went on after free agency, and so we'll see you then.
All right, guys. Keep your stick on the ice.
There it is.
Like, Phil's up.